The Sacred Urn Heist. I first received the request from Lordy Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box, and Zvali! It was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand.
Not valuable.
I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 AM on October 12th.
No, you didn't. It was in the box. That's pretty much all stuff we've heard before, isn't it?
Remember, the box was found at the scene and it was empty, so presumably whoever stole it had actually taken it out. So, I think the contradiction we're looking for here is the fact that it's not valuable, but I don't actually know how to say that. You know, we'll find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave. I might have accidentally skipped the line here, sorry.
Witness, you're sure there are no mistakes this time?
Zavrati.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. You may begin your cross-examination.
I'm going to check something first before going through this.
I don't think we have that thing anymore that says it's worthless. Green Village!
You were asked to guard the urn by Ms. Adrian Andrews, is that right? Indeed. It seemed that they had heard of my sparkling reputation. I see Ms. Andrews is still attracting the weirdos. You better watch out too, Maya. You mean this box? Yes, that pathetic box. Lady Andrews was especially taken with that urn, and she wouldn't let anyone into the storeroom, not even me. Huh. Interesting new tidbit. So you're sure that you had never seen the urn before? Oh, it's on the poster. Indeed. You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm for yourself. My security was focused entirely on the entrance to that warehouse. However, I, Waluigi, let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers. You mean this calling card? That's right! That is without a doubt my calling card.
I guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all.
Of course, because Waluigi knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play to him. Then no one entered the basement warehouse. Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there. Thus, for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. These are all very short. What? What?
Nothing, just shivered down my spine.
This is a photo that proves that, huh? Indeed. To be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much.
Hey, Nick. If this photo is a fake, Detective Waluigi might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken.
That's true.
You know, he's been saying that he never saw... Oh.
You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. If we could prove that he's lying there, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. You can take a good hard look at the court record.
Not a lot to go on, is there?
That detective's been covering his tracks. There's only one thing we need to prove in this cross-examination. That he took this photo well before the actual night of the crime.
Alright then. How do we do that?
There's one thing that Waluigi stated very clearly. That he had never seen the urn before he stole it.
We need to prove that he's lying.
With the poster.
Poster.
No! Huh. Wait. I don't know. Wake up.
I'm not asleep!
I'm just taking wild shots at this, but the music is not stopping.
I don't know.
That thing. Oh!
Oh!
He says it's speckled!
I thought about that, but I didn't realize it was on the card. I thought he just said it and it was in like his testimony before.
Mr. Waluigi, if you really are Master Wah, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course.
Is there a problem with that calling card?
Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Master Mask had written. Take good care of that speckled urn. Now the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn.
Yes, that is true. But, so what?
Truth be told, there is no way that Master Mask could have known about this pattern. What do you mean? This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains.
Paint stains.
And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor.
I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite.
The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error, or should I say an error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn.
You can't be serious.
And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Waluigi had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water. Quack, 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 quack.
I think Dave's rubbed off on him. Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself?
Alright, I did it. He's broken.
Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose.
Huh?
It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday, we all decided unanimously that this man was Master Mask. Now, we're calling him a murderer. You don't think we're being a tad fickle? That's a good point.
Really? Are we gonna rule not guilty just so we don't seem wishy-washy? No way! Don't fall for that too, Your Honor.
You say that Mr. Waluigi was the one who killed Cain Bullard. Let me ask you this. Why would he do that?
That. An
Hand.
Motive, Mr. Wright. Motive! Might you my merry murderous motive manifest?
Nick, he's getting his second wind. He prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on the Ron Delight, as you say. He must have had a very strong motive for murder.
I also just realized, Master Mask, Ron Delight. They both have the duh.
Duh. The only one with any motive we've seen is Ron Delight. Isn't that right, Detective?
Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear.
Without a motive, it is nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case-to-case.
Quesadilla.
Damn it, Dave. Maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were.
Thank you, Sir Oldtimer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. I, Waluigi, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Master Mask. That is why Mr. Delight saw fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy.
Oh, right, that's me. So the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant. This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwriting test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter.
What?
Ding ding! Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination.
Ishun. And who in the world is going to prove that?
I will.
Oh.
After doing a thorough background check of Detective Waluigi and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report. Perhaps they were connected through their work. We were both involved in security. Nope. That was blunt.
In any case, the only one with the motive was Mr. Delight.
Except we know that KG Security specifically investigated the Master Mask murders, as did he. Or the Master Mask cases, as did he.
Yeah, well, we can't present evidence quite yet, so we'll probably just have to press everything a second time. Mistook. That's right, mistook. From the Old Norse mistaka, meaning to take an error. That wasn't what I meant.
Just who did the victim mistake Master Mask to be the mask?
Why, the answer is obvious. Ron Delight, of course. Boy, I'd like to wipe that smug look off this guy's face. Wipe look off face! Why would the victim mistake the defendant for Master Mask? Don't you already know that? Zavali, take a look at this newspaper.
Oh, that's the famous tear of a a magnificent jewel.
That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly guard, namely the defendant.
The defendant?
The victim clearly misread this article and Stvari. He got the wrong impression. The impression that this ugly security guard was in fact Master Mask.
I see. That was an unusually reasonable deduction.
You mean this blackmail letter right here, which is actually green mail?
Says bring 50,000 Poké Dollars.
And the handwriting is, without a doubt, the victim's.
There's no mistake. We've had an official report to prove it. But I don't see an addressee on this letter anywhere.
An addressee?
This letter was discovered in Ron Delight's apartment. Mr. Delight did show up at the designated place and time. The fact that there is no addressee is irrelevant.
I wonder.
What's up, Nick?
I just had a thought. What if that blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight?
Hey. Whoa. Do you have evidence of that?
For some reason, I just can't shake the feeling that there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter.
Fucking Red Diamond.
Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied? What do you mean by that? I'm gonna try pressing everything first. Oh my!
We know where to go.
I was certain you were already aware. Zavadi!
KV Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. And since I was security chief, I stole data from the company.
Kane Bullard had yet to forgive young Mr. Delight, which is why he sent him that letter upon mistakenly believing he was a thief.
Here's a file that we discovered in Mr. Bullard's office. Evidence that Mr. Bullard was receiving money through blackmail. However, isn't this a bit odd? Why did the defendant pay Mr. Bullard the money? Even though he wasn't actually Master Mask.
On that point, there was an unfortunate beat of chance. I'll just go back and do this. Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Waluigi?
Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's alright.
When you said that this letter was addressed to Rhonda Light, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction.
There is no address.
Contradiction.
I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that. Oh.
You're one to talk.
At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior? Indeed, time to man up, Mr. Wright. Okay, rips off shirt, punches Judge. Show us the contradicting evidence in the content of the blackmail letter.
Wouldn't that be...
Blackmail letter.
The blackmail letter itself.
Huh. A little 2-1 punch like that wouldn't even faze me.
I think you mean 1-2 punch.
Mr. Wright, try thinking things through a little more before finding fault. You had to check it and then point out something in it, I think. Show us contradicting evidence in the content of the blackmail letter. I guess it isn't the blackmail letter then. I guess you gotta point out something else. Contradicting evidence in the letter.
If it turns out that... Let me try something. Well, first let's figure out something to show.
Ron?
I'll just try presenting this guy. I'm gonna take this and see what happens, because I'm gonna... It puts us back here. I do have that save state that I can go back to if I just want to try again, but...
It says read it one more time, and we know what the thing is on it, but we can't select it. Maybe one says mistook who he was.
No, here's the thing. We know what to do. It's just for some reason we can't present the right evidence at that point when they ask us to present the contradiction in the letter.
That's why I said maybe it's this point where it says simply mistook who he was, and then right here's what we do.
No. Also, I need to go all the way back here now.
Well, not my fault you didn't save state right before you did that.
I had this save state planned in case we just want to come back here quickly. Let me just finish checking everything. Do you really think that story is gonna hold up?
That assertion is not merely my own, I'm afraid.
What do you mean?
I have here a memo from Ron Delight's wife,
Desiree.
I know how to pronounce it. Just having trouble. Ronnie thinks he's Master Mask. Don't you feel sorry for him. Please don't think too badly of him. Huh. Well, Mr. Trite.
he trying to act like Ms. Delight just now?
I thought he was actually pretty convincing. I could have sworn I saw boobs.
Now that's just your imagination talking. Come now, Sir Lawyer. I'm afraid imagination isn't the right word for it. This is a deduction, the result of carefully applied reasoning.
Can we hear that careful reasoning for ourselves?
It's a long story, and better saved for another time.
Very well, another time.
Those so-called long stories aren't usually all that long. At least none in my experience.
So you're gonna try to connect Detective Atme to Mr. Bullard, right?
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully it won't require surgery either.
In that case, you'll have to talk about the blackmail.
It's true. Is that blackmail letter really intended for Ron?
Since we don't have enough information, you should press him for more testimony.
Maybe I'll be able to shake some contradictions loose that way. Well, pressing again hasn't done it. Alright. Alright, we're back here now. Wow, the music is slowing down a lot right now. Do you think we should just present everything or something?
I think the newspaper.
Huh. Okay, I don't even know how that one makes sense, for the record.
Because he's in the newspaper, too.
What do you mean?
He was just like, oh, the guy must have assumed it because he saw his guard in the newspaper. Who else is in the newspaper?
For the record, was it ever stated that the newspaper clipping said something like, you can see the thief here?
It wasn't, but he was going on about, oh, he must have read this and saw his guy and be like, oh, that's him. It's like, well, what if he read it and saw you and said, oh, that's him?
Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It might also be because he doesn't have the ring or something. It contains a picture of the Tear of Emanon, the stolen jewel.
What about it?
The problem is this jewel's color.
Oh, now he pointed out. Color. Not much for discussing color myself.
According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day.
Red?
Which means, the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the Tear of Emanon that Master Mask stole at all.
Rabble. And your point is, Mr. Trite. So you are trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else. That is what you're trying to say, right, Trite? That is what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright? Well, is that what you're trying to say, right, Nick?
Yes.
all that tension.
This Zuke Bullard was actually blackmailing!
Fucking you!
Naturally, it was you, Detective Waluigi! Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You have been personally involved in every single Master Mask case. And in the last case, you recovered what was stolen, and received a jewel as your reward.
A jewel?
Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring.
that is the diamond referred to in the letter. Which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you! Wah!
Order in the court. Order, I say. Seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Wright.
Uh-oh. I don't like the way he said that.
Kane Bullard blackmailing Waluigi. Are you for real?
Sounds like a bad fanfic. Yes, I am.
Nick, come on, stand up to him. Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world. Yes, it certainly does. Kane Bullard threatened to make Luke Atmy's Waluigi identity's public knowledge.
Waluigi's identity as Luke Atmy!
An identity he wanted to keep a secret. So just what was that identity? Do it.
Waluigi killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret?
This is what it all comes down to, Nick.
The identity that Waluigi wanted to so desperately keep secret was his identity as...
Master Mask. Oh, wait, a blackmailer. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Waluigi was a blackmailer.
Hey, now.
You're
isn't
an
that a little
all-star.
different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atmy. I'm so happy we managed to call this from so early on. I'm so proud of us. Are you saying that Waluigi was blackmailing someone else on top of that? You have to admit that does sound a little odd.
It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Waluigi. But Rhonda Light was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So did you start to receive blackmail letters starting after this incident?
Oh yes, just a few days after the Tear of Emanon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans. Detailed plans? In which case, that would mean that Ron Delight was actually Master Mask.
That is what we are claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Waluigi.
Rebel!
Shh! Silence! Now I see. It's all becoming clear. Whoosh! Boom, boom.